Back to follow-up segment tonight. While many Americans want to legalize marijuana, evidence continues to mount that it is devastating if children use it. New study by the Australian government says if teenagers use pot daily, they're 60% less likely to graduate high school. Also, they are 7 times more likely to attempt suicide. In addition, a book by former Secretary of Health Joseph Califano called How to Raise a Drug-Free Kid says today's pot is 10 times more potent than the stuff the hippies were using back in the 1960s. Joining us now from Seattle, psychiatrist Dr. Nick Weiss, and from Miami, Dr. Daniel Bober, also a psychiatrist who deals with children. So I believe marijuana is dangerous to American kids, and that fact, it's what I believe, has been understated by the media, Dr. Bober. Or am I wrong?
No, I think you're right, Bill. We've been hearing a lot in the media about the beneficial effects of marijuana for legitimate serious illnesses, and I think that's true. But what we know about marijuana in the teen brain is that 1 in every 6 teens will become addicted to marijuana, and that long-term marijuana use affects problem solving, memory, and IQ. And in one study that was done in Colorado, what we found was that 75% of youth in a treatment center were getting their marijuana from adults with legal marijuana registration cards. So it's become more accessible, it's become more socially acceptable, and I think it's a big problem.
Do you concur, Dr. Weiss?
I agree that it's a significant problem, and certainly the harms of marijuana on the adolescent brain are being increasingly documented. And at the same time, teens see it as less risky than ever, less risky than they ever did before. They see it as less risky than alcohol. They see it as less risky than cigarettes. And so that inevitably is going to lead them towards increased use. Okay,
so you're in Washington State, which now has legalized marijuana. And teenagers then pick up that, okay, so if the old folks can smoke it, why can't I? That's just normal. That's what they did with alcohol, and that's what they're doing with marijuana. And as Dr. Bober pointed out, the studies say that people who are buying legal marijuana are giving it to the kids. So we expect that to happen in every state that legalizes, do we not, Dr. Weiss?
Well, the use of marijuana by teens is really a nationwide issue.
I understand that, but it's almost taking on now tsunami-like proportions because it has been glamorized by the media. There's no question it has been.
I think the real shame is that the risks haven't been acknowledged. And
that's part of the glamorization.
Teens really do need to know about those risks.
But the media doesn't want to do it
in a way that
because the media wants it legalized. Dr. Bober, when you see a child, and as you said, 15% of all American teenagers of all stripes become addicted to marijuana. When you see this happen, it's not something that's easily overcome, is it?
No, it's not, and there's a lot of evidence that suggests that marijuana is a gateway drug to other drugs, and the younger they start, the worse it is. So this is really a conversation that we need to be having, and we need to focus on both aspects of the argument.
What about the freedom aspect of it? You know, Americans who want legalized marijuana say, look, I can do what I want with my own body, and I'm an adult, and all of this, and society is putting marijuana users in jail, which is falsehood. We've debunked that here. But that's a powerful argument that, again, the media has embraced.
I think that, you know, if you're an adult, you should be able to do what you want, but the indirect effect that that is having is teens are getting their hands on marijuana, and we know that teens have a developing brain and it is particularly sensitive to the effects of marijuana, and that puts us all at risk when we put our kids at risk.
And Dr. Weiss, when you smoke marijuana, it's a pretty pungent situation, so you can't do it if you're an adult in the home without your kids knowing about it. A very famous person told me that that's his great regret, that he smoked marijuana and his children knew it, even though he did it in another room in private. They smelled it, and then they got involved with drugs, and he feels guilty about it. So I think that's inevitable, is it not?
Well, it is often a multi-generational issue, and it's true that if adults don't act as role models for their kids and also dialogue with their kids about the harms of drugs, then kids are going to follow in their footsteps and make bad choices. We really need to mobilize parents and other responsible adults to get involved in the lives of kids in a deep way, in a way that when they talk about the risks of marijuana, those kids are actually going to listen.
Yeah, but if they're using it at the same time, and then their friends and neighbors in Colorado and Washington State have legalized it, and the media is glamorizing it, It's an awful lot for a kid to overcome. It really is. The curiosity factor alone. And as you said, once the teenage mind or the child mind gets involved with intoxicants, boom, their childhood's over. Doctors, thank you.